Hi, my name is Miriam Burke, and I'm going to read from my short story collection called Women in Love. It's published by the wonderful Reynard Press. The stories explore how women deal with different kinds of love, and the characters come from a wide range of cultural and social backgrounds. The story I'm going to read is called The Luck of Love, and it's the first in the collection. The narrator is an emigrant cleaner in London, and she talks about three families whose homes she cleans. I'll read the beginning of the three sections where she describes the families. Her own story is told at the end of the third section. The luck of love. My mind pulls on any rope that ties it, so I like my job because my mind is free. My client speaks slowly, using simple words when they talk to me. I'm an emigrant with a PhD in English literature, but I let them think I'm uneducated and a little stupid. The Hewitts live in North London, in a big old house with high ceilings, long windows, and a garden that has been photographed for a magazine. The carved oak dining room table came from the refectory of a French monastery, and the teak four-poster bed was made in Goa. Mrs. Hewitt bid for her furniture at auctions, one piece at a time, and had the damaged pieces restored. She went to artist studios with plastic bags full of cash to haggle about the price of the abstract expressionist paintings that cover her walls. Mrs. Hewitt loves the house and everything in it, except her husband. They bought the house when it was a warren of bedsits. She showed me the photos, and she made it beautiful. The house is her life's work. Everything in her home looks like it cost much more than she paid for it, with the exception of her husband. Mrs. Hewitt worked as a solicitor, helping people buy and sell their homes, which must be a terrible job. Boring legal work combined with having to deal with people at their maddest. She got out as soon as she'd finished renovating and furnishing the house. Mr. Hewitt is a director of a management consultancy firm. Georgina, their daughter, is 30 years old and lives in her bedroom. She wears a lavender one-piece suit with a fur-trimmed hood, and she has the face of a child on the body of a woman. When Georgina was bullied at school, her parents employed tutors to educate her at home. It's many years since she's felt the sun on her skin. I looked at her search history when I was cleaning her room and discovered she spends her days following female celebrities. The woman nobody knows spends her life learning about the lives of women everyone knows. I was cleaning the kitchen cupboards last Monday morning when Mr. Hewitt came into the room, dressed in a navy suit that fitted too well to be off the peg. His grey hair was as short as a newly mown lawn, and his beard was carefully sculpted. His wife and daughter were sitting at the mosaic table drinking vegetable juice. I am very interested in couples and how they survive without killing each other or themselves, so I watched and listened. "Will you be home for supper?" asked Mrs. Hewitt, without looking at him. "I'm not sure." He knew this would infuriate her. Controlling her irritation, she said, "I just want to make sure I have enough fish." Extract 2. "We're lesbians," said Margot, on the first day I met them. "If you can't deal with that, we won't employ you." Every family in my country has an aunt who lives with a special friend, or a cousin who shares his life with a man he met in the army or in a bar. We don't attach words to it, but we accept them. The English seem to think they invented homosexuality. "I'm a composer," Margot said. She teaches piano to school children, and she's been working on an opera for 10 years. The opera will never be completed. She wears her hair a little wild, and she tilts her head so that she resembles a bust of Beethoven. Jo is a carpenter, and she makes sets for theatre companies. She has short blonde hair that stands up on her head, and her fine-boned, symmetrical face is a pleasure to look at. She's about 20 years younger than Margot. They've knocked down the internal walls of the small terraced house in South London and put windows in the roof, and Jo has made fitted furniture for all the rooms, so the house feels much bigger than it is. They can't afford a cleaner, but they have me once a fortnight because Margot says she can't take time out from her opera to do her share of the cleaning. I was defrosting the fridge last Tuesday while they were having a goat's cheese salad for lunch at the Ash breakfast bar in the kitchen. Der Rosenkavalier was playing through their multi-room Wi-Fi system. Who will we invite around this weekend? Asked Joe. Do we have to have people every weekend, darling? Margot stabbed a cherry tomato with her fork. It's fun. We work hard and we need to play. What about Jules and Sylvia? Margot looked as if she had a sudden stomach cramp. What does that face mean? We do see an awful lot of them. We haven't seen them for a month. A month isn't very long. Jo put down the forkful of goat's cheese that had been on its way to her mouth. They're close friends. Why don't you want to see them? I thought you liked them. I do like them, sweetheart. I just don't like what they do to you. Do to me? I don't understand. Well, you always get drunk with them and take coke when you're wiped out for the rest of the weekend. It's just a bit of fun. It's good to let your hair down now and then. Now and then seems to come around quite often, and they're so vicious about everyone. I can't imagine we're spared. What do you mean? Well, only surprised if they make fun of us when they visit their other friends. Jules is a great mimic. I sometimes think they only come to see us to get fresh material to entertain their other friends with. Jules wouldn't do that to me. We've been friends since we were at school. She doesn't spare anyone. Jo stared down at the rocket leaves on her plate, as if she was asking their advice. Extract 3. The Gilberts were eating pasta with their 3 children in the kitchen diner of their newly built red brick house in West London, the evening I met them for the first time. They asked me to join them, but I said I had already eaten. Sarah Gilbert made me a coffee using freshly ground beans, and I sat with them while they ate. She was tall and thin with long dark hair, and would have been very beautiful if her lips had been fuller and her nose a little shorter. Her husband Harry was losing his hair and looked like he ate pasta too often. But it was the face of someone you'd be happy to find yourself sitting next to at a wedding. I'm a manager at an airline, so I'm out of the country a lot, and it isn't fair to expect Harry to do the cleaning as well as everything else when I'm away. She looked at her husband, who smiled at her. I liked that they felt they had to justify having a cleaner. They didn't take their privilege for granted. I work from home, so I'm here when the kids get back from school, he said. Is there any chance you could come twice a week? It would stop things mounting up, she said. These monsters do create quite a mess. The monster smiled proudly at me. Yes, I think I could manage that. One of my clients is leaving the country in 2 weeks. I might occasionally have to go out for an hour and leave you alone with the kids. They'll be doing their homework, said Harry. That's fine. You can give me a mobile number in case there's a problem. That would be great. Jerry, could you try to eat your spaghetti without decorating the room with it? Twist a few strands around your fork like I showed you. Jerry looked about 8 years old. You'll never keep a girlfriend if you cover her in spaghetti when you go out on a date, said Nick, who's around 6 years older than his brother. Nick is going steady, said his mother, raising her eyebrows. He has dates in McDonald's. Maybe Jerry will have a boyfriend, said Florence, his sister. She was the eldest. Jerry looked as if he was going to cry. It would be lovely if you had a boyfriend, Jerry, said his mother. Girlfriend, boyfriend, it won't matter to us. Jerry might be a girl when he grows up. We have 3 boys transitioning in our school, said Nick. Jerry looked confused. What's trans? Nothing you need to know about yet, darling, said his mother. She turned to the other 2. For God's sake, stop teasing him. Mrs. Chapman said it's important we have open and frank discussions about sexuality and gender. It's good for her mental health, said Nick. And your father and I agree with Ms. Chapman, but do we have to have these discussions when we have a guest? She turned to me. They're putting on this performance for you. It's fine, I said. I'm enjoying it. She smiled at her husband to let him know that she would trust me with their children.